Okay, guys, what's up? Welcome back to Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. My name is Nicole. I'm a person in recovery. My sobriety date is July 13th of 2015. And today, you guys, we are going to be having a guest speaker on. So, okay, good, he's not here yet. So, I just started working with a company called Self-Recovery, okay? And you guys know that I just started kind of getting into this kind of stuff. And my boss had reached out to me and told me about a program called Self-Recovery that he really liked. So he pitched it to me, showed it to me, showed me what it was all about. And I really, really liked it. So I signed up for the courses. And now I'm working with Dr. Hochman and sharing about this program. Okay, guys. So a lot of you guys have been with me since day one. Okay. You guys are going through this transition with me to where you're seeing me get opportunities now that I've never had before. Okay. I started this channel just me walking around in my pajamas, vlogging on my phone, a hot mess express. Okay. And now we're transitioning into a new stage of development for Real Talk Recovery and for myself. So I'm getting opportunities now to work with people, treatment centers, brands. I'm getting opportunities to share my story and get paid to do it. And I always want to be transparent with you guys and share with you guys honestly what's going on in my life. So I've partnered with Self-Recovery to share this online recovery treatment program with you guys. I'd never recommend anything to you guys that I wasn't doing myself, so I went ahead and signed up for the courses as well, so that way I can work through them if you have any questions. Tonight, Dr. Hochman's going to come on and he's just going to share with you guys what self-recovery is. He's going to share a little bit of himself, about himself, you know, why he created it, what he hopes people can get from the program, and that's going to be it. I'm really excited to have him on because I've never had on, you know, anybody but Dr. B and you guys, my regular guests, you know, so hey Ryan, what's up? I'm so glad you guys are here. I think can you check Sonia and see if, I think it's broadcasting live on Facebook. I just don't know if I can see the people's comments from Facebook. But I can see all the YouTube comments. So if you're somebody who's watching from Facebook and you're like, why isn't Nicole saying hi to me? Come over here to YouTube. My channel's Real Talk Recovery with Nicole, and you can come over here and hang out. And, you know, we'll learn about self-recovery together. And then after Dr. Hochman's done, we'll talk a little bit more about just like stuff that's going on in my life. But, you know, this is like new opportunities for me. I also have a speaking engagement on Monday, you guys, and I'm going to put the flyer. I'm going to put the flyer in my community tab. So if you guys want to come, you can come to that speaking engagement. But it's my first paid speaking engagement. And so I'm really, really excited, and I want you guys to come and be a part of that. So I'm going to check and see if Dr. Hochman is here. If he is, we're going to bring him on and let him tell us all about self-recovery. And if you guys have any questions, of course, you can ask him. Okay, hold on. I see. Okay, good deal. Let me get you in here. Okay, Dr. Hochman, I see you right there. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How about me? Is it working?
Okay, I can barely say something again.
Testing. Can you hear me?
Okay, there you go. Good. I might be like acting like I'm hard of hearing, but that's okay because we're gonna do this. Okay. Are you ready?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody, this is Dr. Hochman. He is the creator of Self-Recovery, this program that I'm working with. I'm sharing it with people online on Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube, and on TikTok. And he's going to come and share a little bit about the program. So, Dr. Hochman, will you introduce yourself to everybody? Tell us like what kind of doctor you are, and then tell us a little bit about self-recovery.
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Daniel Hochman. I'm a psychiatrist. I've got a private practice. I've worked in all kinds of different treatment settings. Ones related to addiction are outpatient MAT clinics. I've worked in rehabs. I've consulted for them, done different detox programs. So variety of settings in addiction. And so, yeah, and over time, I thought it would be much more fulfilling and helpful to make a program that anybody could access anywhere, because I think probably most people watching know that it's really hard to get into good treatment. It's hard to find it, and then even if you find it, it's hard to get to. So I didn't want to just keep working for a place that's just, admitting one patient at a time. I wanted to reveal the things that can help people to everybody. So that was the motivation, to make self-recovery. So it's just an easy way for anybody to access that.
I think that, like, I've noticed just being on social media that, like, you either have insurance and you can get into like a residential program, or you don't have insurance and you have to fight to like find somewhere to like sponsor you, or you don't have any way at all. And what I like about self-recovery is that it's affordable and that you can do it from the comfort of your own home. When you guys were designing the program, what was your thought behind it, and what do you hope people will gain from this program? Have you seen people who have been in the throes of their active addiction go through self-recovery and then being able to maintain their recovery?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's a very novel concept. I mean, there's a lot of online courses and programs, but doing it for addiction was novel. And so I certainly entered that with curiosity and no assumptions, meaning, I didn't go in thinking, okay, I know I'll be able to do this and it'll work. I really entered saying, I really don't know if it's going to be helpful if it's online and if they're not meeting someone in person. And I don't know particularly, what that person's story is when I'm, setting a curriculum. But yeah, I've treated addiction enough that there are common pathways to addiction. And so that's what the program makes sure to cover. So interestingly, it works well, actually, partly because I don't know exactly what each person's personal story is. But what happens is you notice when you go through it that even though part of the program is going to be spot on for what you're dealing with, and then admittedly, there'll be some lessons that aren't exactly what you're struggling with, because, how on earth, is every lesson going to be perfectly spot on, right? So some people are more like, they have heavier trauma. Other people, it's just more of like this very long-term developmental challenges with their environment. Some of it's more with parents. Some of it's, more with peers and things like that. And so, but what happens is, so there's some lessons that really hit, and that can transform for a person. But then you also realize there's all these other little concepts that you didn't even realize you can really grow and make life better with. So that's actually partly why the program's so successful, is because when you go through it kind of cleans everything up about your life little by little. So you come across all these concepts and get better. So to answer that other question, yeah, I mean, when I was beta testing this, I was testing sometimes on people that had been through many rehabs and still not doing well. And they took this and they were floored. They said, I wish I could access this years ago, and I wouldn't have had the last 20 years of my life. I would have been married. I would have been, stable in a job, financially secure. And So that to me was both very exciting, but also really such a shame. And that's what's so rewarding to share the program, is that it really does that for people.
I think that's what makes it like so attractive to me, is that like I've been through like 6 residential treatment programs, and I was like in and out, in and out. And in all of those programs, at least down here in the South, all they teach you is the 12-step module of abstinence. There's not a lot of like evidence-based treatment. It's just now starting to come out as evidence-based treatment, like with medication-assisted treatment and stuff, especially here in the South. Like we're like light years behind everyone else, you know? And being able to do it from your home and not having to like leave your children. I know a lot of women that have kids, they can't, like that's their biggest fear, is having their children taken away from them, because they're struggling with addiction. And a lot of the women that have reached out, they are also struggling with opiates. So I was doing the program with 2 girls, and you could be in like a medication assisted treatment program utilizing like Suboxone or methadone, and then do self-recovery also as well, to like make sure that you have like all of your bases covered, you know, that you're totally surrounded by recovery and recovery support. I really, really like it a lot. And I've just gotten into the very beginning of the program. And what I'm doing is, as people sign up, like I'm bringing them into like a chat group, and I want to make it to where we can do like the courses together, or if they have questions, like I can be there to answer them and like help them through the course. You know what I mean?
That's really cool. Yeah, I think that's an amazing thing to be doing with the people in your network.
Like, can I ask you this? And I don't mean to be like prying or anything, but was there ever anybody in your life that struggled with addiction that inspired you to like want to help people that struggle with addiction?
Yeah, lots. Yeah, I mean, it's been a couple, you know, close family members. I like to try and keep things a little bit private for them, but yeah, you know, very close to it that way. A friend of mine, you know, when I was very young, you know, and then several friends as I grew older, which is common, you know, for all of us. So certainly, you know, right around it, and I like to say too, I don't know that my story and dealing with it is actually, you know, much different than other people's. I mean, addiction is so common that I think, you know, most families have some touching with it, or it's a neighbor, or it's a friend you grew up with, or something like that. So yeah, and it's, yeah, I mean, from early on, something that captures me about addiction is that when you first try and figure it out, it just doesn't make sense. And I think that's what's so frustrating for people with addiction. It's also what makes people so fed up when you're around it, because you just don't know what to do. And I remember feeling like that. You know, when I was younger, you know, I would just try and offer such simple, logical advice, like, you know, that's just too ridiculously simple to ever be able to work. And you know, as I went through medical school and encountered all these different, you know, people with addiction, sometimes on their way to death, you know, I would see them with end stage cirrhosis and things like that. And you realize the things that you say that do and don't work. And then you start to learn, you know, in a psychiatric residency, you get more exposed and a lot more mentorship and teaching, and you learn, oh, wow, wait, nothing I said to people was probably helpful at all. It helps to have someone in your corner and be supportive. That in itself is very helpful. But the words I was saying were not helpful when I was younger. But boy, did I think it was. So it's just so confusing to most people how to help.
I struggle with addiction personally, and me and my husband, we got sober together. So we were in our active addiction together. We were wild, we were crazy, and then we sobered up together. And so I never had to experience what it was like to deal with somebody in active addiction while I was sober. And probably like 4.5 to 5 years into my sobriety, my husband relapsed. and I had to experience what it was like to love somebody who was struggling with addiction. And I was trying so hard to help him, and like basically trying to save him. I was like going into, like, I was totally codependent. I was going into rescuing him and all this stuff. And I was trying to make him hear what I was saying. And one day it just hit me like a ton of bricks. You can't say anything to him while he's using. He's not hearing anything that you're saying. Like, I had to totally back away and let him like make his choices and kind of get himself in trouble. And then when he got in trouble, which was losing his job, he was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I'm doing this. And it was like it snapped him out of it. And I don't know. I just think that it's so hard. Like, I try to help people online that reach out to me every single day. Like, I go through my DMs, and there's probably like 45, 50 people that are asking for some kind of support or some kind of treatment or some kind of help. And when Austin told me about self-recovery, I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, you got to check it out. And I was like, okay. And the more I looked at it and I saw like how you were on there, that really like made me feel like confident and safe, because you're a medical professional and you have experience. And there's so many places that are trying to get people to come to their centers that they're not medical professionals. They're not safe, And so I feel like self-recovery is a good option for people, because you are giving them, like, you have credentials to be giving them that advice and those suggestions,
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'll add, it's not just the strictly medical part of the training that, in my psychiatric residency, you can go to different kinds of programs, as with anything you train for. And the one I went to had, some of the top therapists in the country to train under. And so, for example, one that I trained under has run the largest series of studies that have been the longest running on addiction ever. And so, I got to learn under him. I got to learn under, the national expert that was like the president of every single organization you'd heard of on addiction. So these are like Dr. Stedler, Dr. Ritvo, and then many other people. And so it's the therapy side of it that is mostly what I offer. I mean, I do speak to medications and help people understand and navigate what options are they and what do those medications do? Is it worth considering? But as you'll see in there, I mean, that's a couple videos, but the rest really is understanding how the mind works. And that's not ever done just for science sake, but because every single lesson presented is applicable to how we behave in the realm of addiction. And so yeah, it's a therapy training, that's mostly what I bring to it.
Can you share with everybody like how addiction like affects our brain, and like how it's like, okay, so in layman's terms, for people that maybe don't understand, like, share about addiction being a disease and how it works in our mind and what it does.
Yeah, so what I call it, so if you look to, most textbooks and things, and NIDA, like the big government institution that studies addiction, it's a very superficial and narrow definition. So it's basically saying you get hooked on a substance and you can't get off. That's essentially what it's saying in lay terms. And that's technically correct, but not really if you look very carefully. So the way I define addiction is that it's a learned or trained pattern of escaping intolerable emotions. So if we unpack that, it explains what you're asking about. Well, what is it and how does it work? So it's a trained pattern. You could call that a disease, but I don't, because if something is a learned pattern, it implies it can be retrained or unlearned. Okay?
Okay.
Very, very important distinction. So medically, usually when we call something a disease, it is not really curable, but you can try and control it. So there are like type 1 diabetes. You can't undo. I mean, maybe one day we'll have a cure, but you can't really undo, but you can manage it. Or people will compare it because they'll say, well, asthma or allergies is also this relapsing, remitting disease. But yeah, most things, it's just really semantics, and I don't like actually to get too caught up on whether I call it a disease or not. It's more just making sure people understand whatever the hell you call it. If it's a trained pattern, it can be untrained. I've never met anybody that has an addiction that I couldn't be able to help not be addicted anymore. And so whatever you want to call that, I don't care. But it is something that can be untrained or unlearned.
Whenever I'm talking to people, I always tell them this. I say, how when we were getting high, you guys, we didn't come out as babies and know how to like roll a blunt or chop up a line. So we had to learn how to do that. It was a learned behavior. And just like we learned how to get high, we have to learn how to stay sober and implement different coping skills and different like choices, and as in, instead of going to the dope man's house, go to a meeting. Instead of getting high, go outside and play with your son. And like, there's things that I do in every single day that I trained my brain to do, and I've been doing the same things for 6 years because those things have helped me stay sober for 6 years. So I in the recovery community, we get so caught up in like everybody kind of pointing out that addiction is a disease, and that it's, I understand, like, it doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that we can make a change, and we don't have to be a victim to addiction. We can overcome it.
You said it right. So, that's why I don't like getting caught up on the word, because it's not worth arguing or trying to determine, because it's just semantics. Instead, words are just trying to represent what we mean. So whether you say disease or not, I just want to know what do you mean by that? Do you mean you now have this deeply learned process and you keep turning to it, but do you believe that it can be unlearned? If you don't believe that, then that doesn't match with the evidence, and it doesn't match with most people's experience. It can be definitely unlearned. And the other part of that definition, to describe also what you're asking, what does it do? The thing that you're unlearning is your relationship to how you deal with the psychological and emotional self. So when you're getting high, it's sort of a statement of, I can't tolerate how I feel otherwise. So I'm going to partake in something that it helps me escape that feeling and brings me to that either numbed or distracted or euphoric state. So that is the relationship to how we feel. And so when you're in the middle of an addiction, over and over, you're reconfirming that you need something to take you out of a state that you don't like to tolerate. And so what you're talking about, these nice wholesome things that you do now, is to say, these things are what I choose to be able to tolerate a bad day, right? Because we're going to keep having bad days. But when we have a bad day or something's overwhelming, we have a loss, things happen, what's your relationship to that going to be? So there's lots of things you can do. And like in self-recovery, you walk through all of those. But, one is riding through that. So you actually don't always need to even do anything. Sometimes it's practical things, like you said. So it could be going for a walk, listening to music. It could also be processing what you're going through. It might be intentionally distracting from what you're going through, which distraction is okay if it's intentional and there's a limit to it, and then you come back to processing it. So there's a whole host of things we can do to tolerate our emotional states when they get bad. And that's usually what people need to learn, and they usually only learn little bits and pieces, and they don't do the whole deal, going back and, dealing with the trauma, or learning all the different, even superficial techniques, or learning mindfulness, right? Or learning urge surfing. There's so many things people can do. And when you do them all, you have this huge arsenal. So when life comes at you, you've got a million things up your sleeve. You don't have like 2 tricks. If you have 2 tricks, good luck. You know,
Right.
life is going to get you if you've only got a couple tricks. Life can still get you no matter how many tricks you have, but you want to have a lot of concepts and modalities and different techniques and strategies you use, and then you're just gold.
So I want you to share with us, like, so I was looking in like through the courses, and I was looking, at everything. Will you share, like, so when you start self-recovery, like you first started out, what all do you have access to? Like, I know I saw that there was like groups and like a live and then like coaches. Can you like explain in depth, like when you sign up for self-recovery, you pay, I was telling everybody it's $99 a month, and does it take 12 weeks, or can you do it faster?
So you can go as fast as you want. So yeah, it's $99 a month. You're in complete control of how long you're signed up for. So if you get through it and you feel like you're complete, in a month, great. If you're using it and want it in your corner for many months, fine. So you're in complete control of that. It is on demand, meaning you go through the course at your pace. And so if you're not working or you've got time off, you could go through it really quickly. If you're the single mom and you've got kids, you might need to wait and do it in bunches. So either in the evening or weekend or something like that. So it is designed so people can use it how they need to, because everyone's got very different schedules. So there's no pressure in that way. So you could go through it in 12 weeks. What you saw and you're referring to is I do have a pacing guide. So I have a recommended pace that's 12 weeks, because you're not going to be able to implement and integrate changes if you go through it in a couple weeks. But also if you wait and string it out over a year, you're going to kind of lose momentum and steam. So 12 weeks is both practical, but it also matches with studies about neurological changes. So our brain actually can make a lot of changes. We definitely know this. It's called neuroplasticity. And so you do need a certain amount of time to be able to, change the way we're wired. So 12 weeks matches up with all of that. So yeah, you would sign up, you get a welcome email, and you get login access. And so immediately you get a host of resources on a dashboard. You also get a mindfulness series. You do get access to these groups that are remote, and you can be as anonymous as you want. So you can either show yourself or kind of stay hidden if you're trying to keep this really private. And those groups are run by peer facilitators. So they're not just someone who raises their hand and says, I'm willing to lead a group. They're vetted people who understand Self-Recovery's program and present a little bit of material to start groups, and then it's followed by peer support, but it's facilitated. And yeah, primarily what the course does is go through. There's a whole series of there's usually a lesson that presents a concept, and they're usually anywhere from usually around 5 minutes long or so. So they're bite sized, so you can just kind of get through it on a lunch break or evening. So it's not something you need to keep waiting to take this 2-hour long lecture. So they're in bite size. You digest that information, and then that's always followed by exercises or journaling or reflections. And so that's where a lot of the magic happens. So there's a lot of design that goes into those questions that makes you think for yourself. And that's how we start to integrate and change. So there's lessons. They're followed by some sort of activity or reflection questions. And then there is music at the end of each video, which a lot of people really like, because you can learn information, but often we kind of close off to that emotional part. We kind of don't want to emotionally take something in or reflect.
Let me tell you something. I was listening to the one, I think it was like one of the first ones, and it plays the song about the blackbird and the broken wings. Yeah. We were on the phone, and I kid you not, I was crying, and I'm like, I'm sober and I'm crying about people starting their journey. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't
Yeah.
expect it to come on like that, but I have never like went through something and then listened to music afterward to like relate that my mind to the music and to the lesson. And so it just like took me off guard, and we were on the phone. It was me and Ashley and Jennifer, and I was like crying because I was like, y'all are going to get your wings and they're going to heal and you're going to be able to recover. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. That's really touching to hear, and that's exactly what that's for. You know, you see how you emotionally connect with that in a different way than just a lesson preparing you for the idea that it can take a while to repair and that you'll get there. And so that's what each concept, you know, you learn it, and there's the academic or intellectual part, but there needs to be this emotional connection to ideas that hits you. And the music really, that's what music is. You know, it's beautiful. It's an art form, and it cuts through, you know, all the words. That's what all the arts do for us. And so it is an important piece to
I
the
think
process.
that's what I like a lot about that, is that you guys incorporated music in there, because I think that like so many of us can connect to different songs and stuff. And especially a lot of us, like, I know that we're all in different age groups, but everybody can relate to music, you know? And so having that in there is like that extra kind of like spice, because going through like a regular 30-day residential program, I remember like I was in my seat for like 8 hours a day. We were just going through listening to like relapse prevention speeches from the counselor. And there's a lot of like confusion and distraction, because then you have like guys and girls that are in treatment, and then so and so has a crush on so and so, and just all kinds of crazy stuff happening.
Right.
And so I like it because if you're at home, you can do it on your own time and you don't have any distractions, you know?
That's right. I'm glad you bring that up, because it's, you know, some people, I mean, there's a couple things to clear up. One, you can layer on as many other things that you want around this. So, you know, I never make a claim that like you should only do self-recovery and, you know, shut out AA or don't ever go to rehab, or, you know, it's to be layered on. A lot of people use it, you know, instead of rehab, but a lot of people also use it, you know, after they're discharged and they want to make sure to complete their journey. So, so that's one thing, but part of that is that when you go through the process, yeah, you're opened up to all those ways, and you can layer on if you've got a support group you like, or just friends or whatever it is, you layer that on. But what I wanted to make sure with self-recovery was, if you do want to just keep it your own personal private thing, I wanted to make sure that that was sacred and okay. So when you're asking about, well, what happens when you sign up and things, you don't have someone, it's very intentional that, you know, we don't have someone sort of reach out and say, okay, well, where are you in the program now? What are you doing? What are you working on? Here's what you should be doing. Because first of all, that can get annoying, but even if it was helpful, a lot of people don't want that. So you're welcome to add that on, and you could go get a sponsor out in the community, or have a therapist, or, you know, have a life coach, have a recovery coach. You're welcome to have that. And it's like what you're doing, right? You know, you're forming that group, so you're layering something on, and that's really, really cool, because y'all, you know, getting, you know, really nice mutual support around that, and you're helping as a guide, and that's a really cool thing. But you're layering that on. There's a lot of people who do not want anybody asking it's their own little secret, and so
Right.
So that's what I want people to understand is, you know, it's not to say you shouldn't layer things on. You know, those groups that I said are in there, that's if you choose to, and they are included, but it's just if you choose to. The group's not going to tell you, well, why did you miss this session? So people don't need extra shame. They don't need extra eyes. They can choose that if they want to. And that's a lot of the philosophy. We call it self-efficacy, as the psychological concept of like learning that we can set out an idea that we want to pursue and get there. And a lot of people with addiction don't have that. They're so used to trying to do what they think other people want them to do, and they think, you know, there's this like right thing to do, and they're really trying to please a lot of people. And the program helps to untrain that so that you can really grab the life you want, that you say, well, here's how I want to do it. And it gives you the guidance to make a very informed, healthy idea of what that is. So that, it puts the ball in your court to be able to do that. And in the end, that's what we have to do. Even if you go to rehab and stay there for half a year, well, there has to be an end to that, tight hand holding. You've got to, at some point, take be your own accountability partner. You can still also have friends and a partner, but in the end, it needs to rest with ourselves. We need to decide to be healthy and be accountable to ourselves.
Right, like being responsible for our own recovery, because there might not be a Nicole. You might go somewhere on vacation and run into somebody that's using, and I'm not going to be there to help you, so I totally understand that. Also, you brought up a good point, because there's some people who maybe they have like really professional jobs, like doctors or nurses or lawyers, and they don't want to have anyone know what's going on. So that's completely confidential when they sign in and join self-recovery.
That's right. I mean, just today I had someone, they had reached out, so I knew they did this, but they started to sign up, then they re-signed up with a totally made up email and alias, because that person didn't want anything traceable or trackable. She's got a job where she knows that would be a no-no, and they'd start to judge her, and maybe she wouldn't keep her job. And so there's a lot of people, the recovery community, really pressures you to be out with it and, be honest and tell your story. But for some people, either they're not ready to, and that's okay, and you can get there. Or for other people, they've decided that's not how they want to do it. And that's okay. Usually at some point in the process, they do learn the value of sharing their struggle, but you don't need to have someone do that before they've even started. So I like to help meet people where they are and let them come to that. And this person likes that this is the only option she has to do it that private and discreetly.
I like that. I think that, and so whenever I share with anybody about it, because I've been making like quite a few videos on my TikTok, like I just try to let people know that, if they sign up and they want to be a part of our little group, they can, but they absolutely don't have to. And, so far, quite a few people have signed up and are enjoying it. So I just wanted to have you on to like share with everybody, and so they could see your face. And a lot of the way I connect, like I was just telling everybody, this is something new that you've never seen me do before, because I built this channel and I was walking around in my pajamas making bacon and eggs for my son. Totally just like a mess. And now I was like, you guys, I have this opportunity to work with this doctor, and I want to introduce you to him. And my channel has went with me since ground zero. They went with me since I got my job working with Dr. B, since I started working with Austin, and they've kind of seen me grow and get more opportunities. And so I always want to be transparent with them. I always want to be honest with them, and I always want to bring to them things that I believe in. And so I am so glad that you came on this evening to like share about self-recovery. And I'm so excited to work with you like more. And I just really thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, I want to have you on again, but I want to wait until like I get farther through the courses so we can talk more about like different stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm real excited about this too. And yeah, you'll see it's a real evolution. The program, it starts out in the foundations module where it's just laying the groundwork, right? It's debunking certain myths so that you kind of clear up if you are hanging on to ideas about addiction that are not accurate. And then it introduces you to, well, then what is it? And then it starts out, a little bit easier, and it starts out with, in the module's called, addiction, and that's actually a small module of the program. So you'll see The addiction module is more similar to what other treatment is. You know, there's some relapse prevention planning in there. There's identifying triggers and stuff like that. But as it evolves, it gets a lot more depth to it, and you really learn what you're made of, where you come from, why you are the person you are, and how to regulate. So you'll see it's a real evolution. I'll be so excited to be along it with you too. So please let's keep doing this.
So just so everybody knows, like if you guys decide to sign up and join Self-Recovery and you have a question, like I can contact Dr. Hochman anytime. Like I'm connected with him to where I can email him, I can call him on the phone. If you have any questions and you want to ask, I can, get that question answered for you. And yeah, so I'm excited. I am really just like, this is so new for me. So excuse me if I'm like a little weird, but this is totally new. I've never like kind of worked with like besides Dr. B with another doctor where we're doing like a recovery related work together. So I really appreciate you for believing in me and giving me a chance to work with you. And I will have you back on probably like in a month or two, so we can in 30 days. So that way we can do another live stream together. Okay. And on that live stream, like I want to be able to bring up other people if they have questions and stuff like that. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be really fun. Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you so much. And I will holler at you later. Okay. I'm going to take you out so that way you don't have to worry. All you got to do is shut your phone down or your computer down. Okay.
The more you can dummy proof the tech for me, the better. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll holler at you later.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye. What do you guys think? So that is Dr. Hochman. Super fucking relatable, super chill, like very kind, down to earth. This is just like a really big opportunity for me, you guys, to be able to work with him and bring this to you. And like I was saying, like I always want to be like 100% honest and authentic. I would never I really like this program, and I trust him, and I believe in what he's sharing with you guys. And I really just want y'all to know, like, this is new for me. This is new for me, bringing you guys content and different things that I believe in, different resources I believe in. And so hopefully I'll be able to do this a lot more with different opportunities. And, by doing this and working with Dr. Hochman, this opens up, this is helping my family, this is helping me, this is helping my husband, where I can make extra money and help towards us getting into our own house, towards Nate having all the freaking shoes he likes to buy and all that kind of stuff. And so this is just really amazing to me. This is my first experience. So let me tell you, hey, Marilyn, what's up, girl? I want to talk to all you guys because I've seen your comments and questions and I could barely hear. So I wanted to make sure I was focusing on what Dr. Hochman was saying. But now, if you guys have any questions, if you want to talk to me about anything, if you want to come up here, let me see if I can get you guys to be able to come up here. Hold on a second. I think I can. Hold on, guys. Yep, hold on. Let me get that. Excuse me. Post a comment. Yep, here we go. Bam. All right. I just put a link in the chat. If you guys want to click that link and come up here and ask a question or talk with me, you're more than welcome to. For those of you guys that are asking for the link to Self-Recovery, I have it. If you go, it should be in the description of this video. So if you click out of here and go underneath this video, there's a little description box. It is in that description. Also, I'm going to link it in the comment section of this video when I, get off this live stream. Also, it is in my community tab. It is linked in my community tab. So if you want to get to it that way, you can. And it's also on my TikTok bio. You can get to the link there. So the link is everywhere. Community tab, TikTok description, and it'll be in the comment section. So, yeah. Cindy Briggs is back, y'all. Cindy wanted me to tell y'all she's back. Cindy, the bitch is back, y'all. Hey, Melissa. How you doing, girl? Hey, Miss C. Thank you guys so much for being happy for me. Kay Reynolds, is that Karen or Kathy? You're welcome, honey. You're welcome. Hey, Cindy, what's up, girl? Cindy Moore. Marilyn. Missy Reed. Oh, there's Ashley. Ashley's actually doing the program, you guys. So if you want to reach out to Ashley and ask her any questions about it, she can share with you like her personal experience. Hey, Dan. Hey, Daniel, what's up? Let me see who else is in here. I haven't seen you guys in a long time because I haven't been going live on YouTube. I've been doing good, you guys. So for those of you guys that don't know, because I haven't been going live over here on YouTube, hey, 713 to 415. So it's the program is the way Dr. Hochman paced it is 12 weeks. But if you want to go slower, you can go slower. If you want to go quicker, you can go quicker. So it's totally up to you. And like I said, it's $99 a month. Anytime you want to cancel, you can cancel. There's also a way to buy a lifetime subscription also. Like if you want to have the courses and access to them for a lifetime, you can, when you click the link to sign up, it should show you that also. Thanks, Debbie. Missy, I'm going to post it. Yep, as soon as I get off here, I'm going to post it. I have a question. What do you do when you keep trying to pull someone up and they continue to try to pull you down? Okay, so let me give you guys a little bit. Let's listen to this, okay? So I want you to close your eyes and I want you to imagine you're at summer camp, okay? You're like 13 years old and you're at Girl Scout camp or you're at Boy Scout camp and it's hot. And y'all are having like a lake day. So all the counselors are out at the lake. There's a big dock that you can run off of and jump into the water. Everybody's out there just having a good time, right? Well, you're jumping off the dock and then you hear somebody going, help, 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 I'm drowning, I'm drowning. And you get up on the dock and you look over, about 3 feet out there in the water is your best friend. And they are going under. And they're crying and they're yelling and they're screaming, they're getting scared. And so you jump in and you want to go save them. And so you swim over there and you swim to go save them. And what happens? You, come on, hold on to me. Just relax and I'll pull you to shore. Come on, just lean back. I got you. But they don't lean back. They start freaking out and they grab a hold of you and they start pushing you down. And before you know it, they're pushing you down to hold themselves up. And before you know it, you're drowning. Now y'all are both drowning. Now there's not just one person out in the middle of the lake drowning. Now there's 2 people in the middle of the lake drowning. Okay? So instead of jumping in after your friends to save them, what you do is you grab a life preserver and you toss it out there and then you pull them back in. So if you have somebody who you've been trying to help and they keep pulling you in on the deep end with them, you need to find support that they can grab onto. That's not you, okay? Support as in like a group, self-recovery, a sponsor, a therapist, going to treatment, you know, like we're trying to save ourselves, you guys. A lot of us aren't, you know, in a position to be jumping in the deep end of the lake and helping anybody. A lot of us are just getting to a point where we can swim on our own, you know? So I truly believe, you guys, that sometimes it's better to have like a gang load of people to support you and help you and not just try to do it on your own, because it can be dangerous, you know. Like what back in the day when they used to do 12-step calls with like Bill W days, they would take like 4 of them, okay, because one person going that can be temptation for that person to pick up and use. You know what I mean? But if you got 4 of you guys, one person with like 30 years sober, one person with 10 years sober, one person with 5, one person with 2, then you have a good solid, foundation of people that you can lean on. So I hope that kind of helps you guys understand a little bit more. Don't be jumping in the deep end, Cindy. Don't be jumping in the deep end, honey. Pull out. So, you know what I like though? I do too. But, Dr. Hochman's right, you guys. Like, we learn healthy behaviors in our recovery. So listen to this. Like I was telling him, back in my day when I was using drugs and alcohol, I didn't know how to roll a blunt. I didn't know how to smoke out of the meth pipe. I didn't know how to chop up a line of coke. Like, I had to learn how to do all that stuff. After I learned how to do it, I became a professional. Well, now that I'm sober, like, I'm learning new ways to stay sober, and these new behaviors are helping me. As we learn new behaviors and we implement them into our lives, that the neuro pathways in our brain are like, they're healing. Did you know that? I cut off all addicts and I cut off Kensington. I used to be there every day, not for drugs, other things, but every time I relapsed, I was there. I was in Kensington one time in the last 11 months. Yeah, Dan, your ass don't need to be going to Kensington no more. Okay? You guys, like, honestly, down there is ground zero, for real. That's why I asked if your brain has been damaged for decades. Does that make a difference? No, it doesn't make a difference, because, okay, Dr. B also taught me about this. So I felt the same way. I felt like my brain was damaged beyond repair, you guys. I was like, there is no way I'm going to be able to get better. I'm damaged beyond repair. Not true. Not true. You can heal. Okay. You can heal 100%. And you can heal while you're on MAT. So those of you guys that are on MAT, did you know that while you're on MAT and you're making good choices and you're doing the next right thing and you're helping others and you're staying sober, that the neuro pathways in your brain are healing? Right, right. So we have to look at that. We have to look at what happens in our sobriety. You know what I'm going to do, you guys? Let me end this live stream so that way you guys can watch it, and I'm going to go live on again. So let me upload this. I'm going to link self-recovery for you guys, and then I'll be back in 2 minutes.